This is Freedom Global News.
Former chairman of INEC, Professor Attahiru Jega, describes Nigerians as unfortunate citizens of the world. Senator Abdullahi Adamu emerges APC chairman, says no other government matches President Buhari in touching people's lives. Former Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun opens after 3 years since she resigns as minister over NYSC exemption certificate scandal. Our guest interview is on the situation of major political parties in Nigeria. Details in a moment. Hello, listeners. Good evening, and welcome to Freedom Global News. Today being Sunday evening, 27th day of March 2022, which is equivalent to 24th day of Sha'aban, 1443 after the Hijrah. My name is Muazu with the details. The new chairman of the ruling party APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, says in the history of Nigeria, no other government can match President Buhari's administration in terms of touching people's lives. Senator Adamu stated this in his inaugural speech after emerging as the party's national chairman of the Nigerian's ruling party. Senator Abdullahi Adamu emerged the consensus chairman of the party at his convention conducted yesterday at the Eagle Square in Abuja. The new chairman of the party also expressed hand of friendship to other aspirants who withdrew from the race, saying they would succeed in God's time. He expressed gratitude to newly elected members of the National Working Committee of the APC, President Muhammadu Buhari, delegates, and all other members of the party for electing them into the position of very high responsibility. According to him, he and other members of the National Working Committee have accepted the onerous responsibility placed on them, promising to work hard to ensure they fulfill APC members' expectation for greater good of the party and the country in general. Former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Tahiru Jega, has said Nigerians belong to the category of unfortunate citizens of the world. The former Nigerian's electoral empire says it is due to the fact that Nigerians' leadership, though in the context of a civil democratic dispensation, leaves much to be desired. Professor Jega stated this during pre-Ramadan lecture organized by the University of Lagos Muslim alumni with the theme Leadership Recruitment, the Missing Anchor in our National Development. Jega, who was the chairman of the occasion, said Nigerian leaders lack what he called sustainable vision for Nigerians' development in elective public leadership position, competence, and capacity to lead a country in the 21st century in terms of having an enlightened self-interest to galvanize and forge elite consensus on how to reposition, stabilize, and develop the country on a sustainable basis. He stressed that leadership recruitment process is central to entrenching good governance and resolving poor governance. Former Minister of Finance, Mr. Kemi Adeosun, has opened up on the inner battle she experienced after she was made to step down in 2018 over a certificate scandal. Adeosun, whose the National Youth Certificate Score was forged, resigned months after an investigation online platform broke the story. Speaking at a lunch service in the United Kingdom, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun says she swept every day without working for 3 months. She said everything about her life was at standstill while she had to deal with shame, betrayal, disappointment, and humiliation. According to her, that period of her life was tough for her when she said she stepped into the shoes of someone like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, but was under fire from one day which looked like things were not working, and then of a sudden, the economy started to improve. She said it was like she was begging to see the desired result, but then out of nowhere the certificate scandal came in, and before she knew it, everything went understand and the issue went viral. The global news is coming to you from the News and Current Affairs division of Freedom Radio 99.5 FM. You can listen to us live on TuneIn or pass your comments and opinions on our social media platforms Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Freedom Radio Nigeria. You can also get the link to both sites on our website on freedomradioenergy.com or call us through the following number 08092200885. Welcome back. And now the Freedom Global News continues. Listeners, at this moment, we will turn our attention to our guest with me live here in the studio. With me today is a popular political analyst from the Department of Political Science, Bayero University, Kano. Professor Kamilu Sanufage, welcome to Freedom Global News.
Thank you very much.
Our interview with Professor will focus on the current situation in the two major political parties in the country, that is the APC and the PDP. Now, Prof, it is over 20 years since the return of democratic rule and subsequent formation of political parties in the country. What is the general assessment of the two major political parties, and how would their examination be rated in terms of responding to ethics and norms of democracy as copied from developed democracies?
Okay. For over 16 years, literally, we had one party that was dominant, that was PDP, until the last 7 or 8 years when APC was formed and it challenged PDP and took over the reins of power. If you look at the two parties, actually, you wouldn't see much difference in terms of their ideology, in terms of their program, and even in terms of their personalities. If you look at them both, they don't have clearly defined ideology, except for the program of how to capture political power and put people into, or their candidates into office. That has been the common thing that is running through both of them. And if you look at the personalities, majority of them were in the former PDP, in PDP when they come in and they change, positions. So I think that it was the same personality, which if you can go back up to maybe some of them right from even past the Republic, some in the Second Republic, some in the aborted Third Republic. So in terms of personality, they are the same old wine in new bottle.
But of all the two major political parties, Prof, and their gladiators are plagued in one form of internal crisis or another, what is responsible for this type of incohesive and intolerable good game play of politics?
There are a lot of factors. One major factor is the fact that the parties themselves are not really political parties. They are more or less like clubs, coalition of people, who come with only the idea of winning, capturing political office. So that is why politics to them is a do or die affair. So that is why there is that element of conflict. Secondly, is the fact that the parties don't have internal democracy. In most cases, you see that the parties are controlled by very few people, and they are the owners of the party, and they determine everything. So democracy is not allowed to prosper in those parties. More or less, what you have, even when you come to positions, you have more or less process of selection, not election. People are selected by very few, and then you now call the rest members and say, okay, endorse the situation. And the third factor is the fact that the parties lack what is known as internal discipline, whereby the parties are supreme over members. They can, every member of the party is subject to the rules and regulations of the party. But in all these parties, you find out that the moment a person wins an election, he becomes part of the honors of the party and he will do whatever he or she wants.
But Professor Fage, you have just described these political parties as like a social club where people seek for a comfort zone. What factors are responsible for adopting consensus candidates in position hitherto supposed to have been contested by aspiring or interested individuals?
That is what I'm saying. There is lack of internal democracies in the parties. So what you have is that there is a camouflage. People tend to copy some element of democracy, like this issue of selection or consensus candidate is more or less a selection process. Had it been there are no electoral rules and constitutional provisions that there has to be democratic process in this. You will not even see this kind of consensus. Some few people will sit down and say, okay, this is where we want to go. Everybody will follow.
But in Nigerian democratic scene, what does the new mantra of consensus mean and its effect on internal democracy among political parties?
The new mantra of consensus, like I said, is not democratic. It's not democratic. It is more or less a selection process where few people select the candidates and they allow the rest to endorse them. And now the implication of that is always there is going to be, disagreement within the parties, especially people who feel that they are isolated from the process. So these ones will be, not be happy with the process, and that is why you see most of the cases end up in court instead of allowing it to be determined in the ballot box. It will always end up in the court because people will be contesting even the selection process.
But can a major stakeholder of a political party align loyalty to a different party other than the one he or she is a category member?
You see, that this is possible where you don't have politics of ideology and principles. People, like I said, there's a club. If somebody joins today and finds out that his own wishes and aspirations are not being met within the party, he will tomorrow pack his own luggages and go back and join another party. That is why we have the party system is so fluid that somebody is in party A today, tomorrow he will be in another party, he will be in B or C or whatever, because the whole thing is that he is not committed to the ideals of the party, he is not committed to any principle. All he is concerned with is personal gain. What will he gain out of the political process?
Professor Kamilu, let's take the last question. Can we sum up the penultimate judgment that removed a Benue State governor, even though he appealed as a good omen against the incessant cross-carpeting by politicians after being elected on a different political party?
You see, that one, if it has been legalized, the laws are entrenched, then it will be part of the process that will end up this issue of cross-carpeting from one party to another. What makes it easier for people to go into, to jump from one party to another is that the rules are very weak and there are certain loopholes which lawyers call lacuna. For example, in the Constitution, it says that somebody cannot decamp from one party to another unless there is crisis in his own party. So in order to get that one, most people who want to cross-carpet will foment trouble into their own party, create conducive atmosphere, create crisis so that they can jump ship from one party to another. But the way now we have it, with the rulings of the court and the new electoral act, a bill, I think this issue of cross-carpeting will be a thing of the past.
Professor Kamilu Sanifege, we appreciate having you at this moment.
Thank you very much.
And listeners, this marks the end of today's global news. On behalf of the News and Current Affairs Department under the leadership of Nasiru Salisu Zango, today's duty editor Bala Nasiru, the entire production crew, Muazu saying thank you for listening.